The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. Access Fort Wayne is a department of the Allen County Public Library. If you or anyone you know might be interested in making a television show, please call 260-421-1250.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rudy Kachmann. Welcome to our show. We're going to pass out a lot of knowledge today. I'm going to speak about, and I have two wonderful guests here who are going to join me, and they bring a lot of knowledge. Crystal Bush,
Right.
and I want to tell you a little bit about, she's a reverend from the church in a second, and Keith Mitchell over here. Also, in our combined knowledge, I hope you can walk away from this, and how to become healthy, how to avoid 50, 100 different illnesses and diseases. This works. I have the knowledge, and we're going to follow today the Daniel Plan. That's a book written by Dr. Amen, Dr. Hyman, and also the Reverend Warren wrote this book. It relates faith, religion, and wellness. It's all over the Bible, so I think this is an excellent way of teaching it, and we'll impart this knowledge to you, and we'll be already teaching this at Crystal Bush's church.
Yes.
And also we'll be teaching it at the Destiny Church coming up on Warsaw Street. And the church has been totally remodeled.
It's beautiful.
I think Karen Staten did it with her, with God's help, and the public. But we're going to be teaching there every week, and also at Crystal Church. So, Crystal, tell us a little bit about your church, the name, and when your services are, and what you're teaching a little bit.
Okay. I'm Bishop Crystal Bush, and I pastor New Zion Tabernacle, and we're on Spring Street, right down the street from St. Francis. And I've been in ministry for a long time. I've been pastoring for quite a while, in fact, 17 years at this church. I founded this church 17 years ago. But I remember about 3 years ago, I was teaching, and I'm just preaching my heart out, and I'm trying to get people to a certain place spiritually, and it just hit me. The Lord began to deal with my heart and my spirit about ministering to the total person, not just the spirit man, not just our ability to hear from God, but mind, body, and our spirit. When we look at the trichotomous nature of man, we understand that he is tripartite. We need to be able to minister to all three parts. So I was sharing that whole dream, that whole vision, that mindset, and some of the things that we began to do. We created a gym inside of our fellowship hall, part of our property at New Zion Tabernacle. But I was sharing my dream and my vision with one of my pastor friends, Dr. Karen Staten, and she said, "I've got just the person you need to meet." And so I said, "Oh, really?" So I was kind of curious, and knowing that she is a woman of great contacts. So she took me to Starbucks, and I got to meet Dr. Kachmann. And I was sharing the dream and the vision with Dr. Kachmann, and it just took our excitement to a whole new dimension. And Dr. Kachmann got on board, and we've done so many things with fitness. We've done things spiritually as far as managing the things that we eat, the things that we put into our bodies. We've also done classes, cooking classes every Tuesday at New Zion Tabernacle. We have really taken this vision and really taken it full circle. We believe that it changes people's lives. It makes everything better. When you feel better, you do better. I used to say that when you know better, you do better, but now I say you do what you believe. And so if you really believe that you can operate optimally, mind, body, soul, and spirit, I think that what we have today will get people in that right direction.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. But it's the truth of the matter. You've carried it a long way. But here we are starting our second center, which I think God provided for us. And but Karen Staten, she raised the money. She did it, and it's wonderful people responded. The public responded through Facebook, and two wonderful guys that volunteered to fix the inside for a year for free. Karen, we have to. She's sitting there.
It's amazing.
Want to applaud you, and Keith is helping us here to get our information out on the internet and Facebook, and he truly believes what you're doing. Keith, tell us about yourself a little bit here.
Okay. Well, thank you, first of all, for having me on your show. I consider it an honor. You have a wealth of knowledge, and like you said, it is beneficial, and I'm taking it personal. I had the opportunity, just like Pastor Bush, to meet Pastor Karen Staten, and so that's when my journey with this started, which is very recent. And actually, we're going to be doing a Daniel fast in church. I recently, and I like to say that on the air, that I recently joined her church.
Amen.
Give us the name of the church again, so the
Destiny Life Center Church on Warsaw, 3601 Warsaw Street. And she introduced me, of course, to you the same way. And and I mean, it's like I had a plan, of course, and just right before the show, I asked you, I said, well, it's mind, body, and spirit. And I realized that the empowering part of it comes from the spirit, you know, being obedient, following those things that we've been instructed. Right. And so in doing that, it's gotten me here on your show. I'm getting this knowledge, but I'm also getting to apply this, make it practical to my own life. I also mentioned to you that I'm thinking about even going back to veganism. I just found out that the Daniel diet is without meat, and if I can do it, I have done it before, but it's just a wealth of knowledge, and it allows me to not only benefit from it personally, but to participate, support,
that you're able to teach the public.
Exactly.
Because I do see a lot of healthcare providers, and I notice when I talk to patients, if the provider doesn't practice it, the patient rarely believes. So, and all three of us, including Karen here, we all practice what we're speaking about. I mean, it works. And what Daniel, you want to tell us this story, a little bit of Daniel, why this name was chosen?
Well, actually, it began historically. There is a narrative in the Bible that talks about the Daniel plan and the diet that Daniel followed. It was interesting because they were in captivity, but still in a place of power, position of power in Babylon. And the king Nebuchadnezzar had given all of his servants a charge, and they had all of this food that all the men were eating, and all the women too, I'm sure, and probably the children. Everybody was eating all this food. Maybe it kind of looks like our Thanksgiving table sometimes. We've got all of these different choices. And so Daniel looked at that and said, and I'm just paraphrasing here, he said, I think I want to stick to my own diet. And so the king was a little bit concerned because he didn't want them looking frail.
And he was not healthy,
and he was not healthy himself. He said, I'm making it, I'm eating all of this, and I'm concerned if you don't want to eat what I prepared for you. And so Daniel began to say, well, you know what, let me just, king, in 10 days, give me 10 days to follow my diet, and you follow yours, and then take a look at us after 10 days. So at the end of 10 days, and the king was probably kind of peeping in on them, you know, throughout the whole time. But after 10 days, he looked at them and he found out that they were actually healthier and fuller than his own men. So there is something to be said about what we put into our temples. You know, I was reading something the other day, and the whole concept was food is fuel. It's not to comfort us. It's not to soothe our emotions. It's not to make it. Food now is fuel. It's a tool that our body needs to be able to perform at an optimal level all day long. And I think some of the food choices we make really hinder our energy level. It hinders our body's ability to produce the antibodies we need to stay healthy. And so it was really amazing to the king that, okay, this Daniel plan really does work. And so in the book, you know, I was just telling the gentleman right before we started today that I've actually had a chance to meet Rick Warren. But in the book, he talks about how he's baptizing people, and everybody is overweight. He's just concerned about the health of his of his parishioners, and because he was concerned, he decided that he would participate in the Daniel Plan focus and the authorship of it to be able to communicate his message also from a spiritual perspective. It's not just all about praying. It's not just all about fasting. It's not all about reading, but as God is concerned about every part of our being.
Right.
The Bible also says in Psalm 139 that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. So built into us is healing. But if we're eating the wrong thing, we're pushing down those healing components that God created us with to be able to operate at a new level. So yes, it's just so important that we look at the authorship and how it began. So therefore, we have the book, The Daniel Plan.
Yeah, thank you for holding. I encourage you. To read it. I have no financial interest in this. None of us do. We just think it's a very nice way of presenting mind, body, spirit wellness, because for us to change and develop the habits of becoming well takes faith for most of us. You just don't say, well, you got to do this. Most people don't do that. They need more than that.
Yes.
And what the Daniel Plan people, Warren and Amen and Hyman, really came up with are the 5 F's, which we involve faith. And I'll ask Reverend for you to speak about that in a minute. Food, so type of food makes a tremendous difference. We're not speaking about diet today. Type of food we'll be talking about. Focus, that you focus on it. You look at, hey, what am I eating here? What am I doing? Fitness, we'll speak about that a little bit. And it works best. I mean, the magic elixir they found. The magic elixir is friends and faith.
Yes.
Friends and faith. If you can find someone to speak to, like at churches, what they've done at Warren's church, at other churches, gathered some groups like we're going to do at the Destiny Life Center, and to pass out knowledge, but also to hold hands and support each other. And if someone gets off the path, which is common, believe me, if tonight there's a donut laying out there, I don't mind my house, I will be eating it. I mean, the point is, at 135 pounds, even I can see, and my brain says, oh, that'll make me feel great. We have to find other ways, is a point. So again, we have the focus of food, the faith, the friends, and the fitness. But so let's go through this a little bit, pass out some knowledge. And so tell us a little bit about the faith aspect, how the body of Christ is actually in our body.
Yeah, right. And if I could, I'd like to combine a little bit about the friends piece too. In fact, you just coupled them together a moment ago, and I think it was just timely even for you to be intuitive in that area, Dr. K. But faith is something that we can't see, but it's certainly something that is evident. And we walk out our faith every day by the way we live, the way we treat each other, the choices we make, the interactions that we garner. But several years ago, about 3 years ago, before we met, I had been in the hospital in October, and they did all these tests. They found nothing wrong. I'm trying to manage life, manage my personal life, manage my family, manage my job. I'm just trying to wear all of these hats and manage things. And they did all these tests, and nothing was wrong. And so I said, okay, if nothing is wrong, there's still something I need to change, because sometimes there might not be a diagnosis right away, but you know that you're not living at the optimal level that God has for us. So that means something has to change. So I began, I got a copy of the Daniel Plan, and I began to change some things myself. Before I did anything with anyone else, I worked on me. And people began to see the change in me. I went to visit my son, and he said, Mom, he said, you just look great. Whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. I see some results. And so I thank God for the external affirmation. And so I had a meeting with a group of my friends and some of the friends from church, some of our members, and I began to talk to them about a healthy lifestyle. And as I talked to them about the healthy lifestyle, there were some that came just because I invited them, but they really had no desire to change their eating habits or to move, not just healthy, but to move to be fit. But because of some of the things that we were sharing with them that evening, they began to say, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. And as a result, everybody in the room we made an agreement as a group of friends that we were going to try this together. And so everybody began to lose weight. We began to do exercises together. We began to garner this whole concept of fitness. And that's why the friend portion is so important. When you think about faith, faith is not in isolation, but faith is in community. The church is the body of Christ, and every member is important. So when we think about faith, we can't exercise our faith without exercising it now in community. And that's where the friend part comes in. And I remember telling Dr. Kachmann, one of the activities, so every Tuesday when we would come, I'd have a different activity for us to follow. We'd have praise reports about what people are doing and how much weight they've lost, how much better they feel, maybe a new recipe they tried. So we began to share some things. But this was probably my number one aha moment. I asked them, I said, how many of you remember those Dear John letters? Like you're in love. And then you say, I think I need to move on. So you write this letter, Dear John, and you talk about how much you really appreciated all the things that you did together. It was just such great fun. But now you just found a new love. So you write this Dear John letter. So I said, we're going to write Dear Fat letters. So we passed out all the materials they needed, and they began to write these letters to Fat. And I gave them time to write the Dear Fat letters. But my aha came as they began to read their letters. And I told them they could put whatever they want to put in their letter. I didn't collect them. It was just for their own archives. So they had to be transparent and honest. But when I began to hear those women and men talk about how food was their friend, that it was their comfort, that I'm tired of carrying around fat. I can't even get on the airplane. They began to talk about how fat really debilitated their lives rather than enhancing the life. And when I began to listen, I said, oh my God. I said, they really don't want to be like they are. But the faith isn't there yet to get them to the place where they can fully embrace the change. Right. But it was an eye-opener for me that sometimes we find ourselves even physically in a place we really don't want to be, but we don't have the confidence yet to get us out of it. Right. But the friends come now to work together to be that support group, encouraging each other, calling each other, giving each other ideas and suggestions. But when they begin to read those, they said, but you know what, today my relationship with fat is over. Today I will not pick up a donut. I will not pick up that donut when I'm feeling depressed. I will not, pick up, I won't eat the whole pizza. In fact, I don't even want the pizza. So we begin to fall out of love with those things that we finally realized were debilitating, not just to us and our associations and the things that we're trying to accomplish in life, but just for us, period. Right. That we really want to have the energy. First thing in the morning, you just slept all night and still tired because of what you ate. Fat, I'm done with you. And so they wrote those Dear Fat letters. Fat, goodbye. Fat, I'm breaking up with you. Fat, it is absolutely over. Right. And so they go hand in hand. You can do it by yourself. You can do anything by yourself. But I find that many of us don't have the discipline that it takes to do something independently or in isolation. Right. But the faith community can come together, like what we've done at New Zion, like what we're doing at New Destiny. So we think about all those, at Destiny Life Center, we think about all those opportunities where God gives us somebody else to walk the journey with us. And our success level heightens if we've got somebody to walk the journey with us. So I would combine faith and friends as we work together.
As being the secret sauce.
Yes, the secret sauce. Yes,
to make it happen like this.
Yes.
Like it says in the book. I mean, it's a wonderful story. Yes. This is real. I mean, I've attended your cooking classes.
Yes.
And I'll tell you right now, it's working there because we graduated, I think, almost 20 women with mainly women with diplomas in cooking. I mean, cooking. Type of food you cook is really the answer. And they get diplomas and everything, and I'm the picture with them. I must say it.
And we had a lot of resistors too. Lots of but by going to the class and being consistent every Tuesday with the class, then those that were resistant said, you know what, I never thought I would eat differently, but my God, now I am.
That's been going on a couple of years now.
Yes, we've been doing strong for 2.5 years. Exactly.
I think we're Daniel Strong.
Yes, Daniel Strong.
Daniel Strong.
Yes.
I wish you had brought a few of those fat letters so read them maybe next show, because there's got to be a few laughs.
Yes, it was, but it was, it just touched my heart.
Yeah, I can see how that would convince someone. It's almost like, well, any other situation when you're invoking faith and you know that God is the power behind that, you have to be sick and tired of a situation, and then it gives you not only the willpower, but it also, in the community with the friends and whatnot, everybody encouraging you to go forth with that new change because you're dissatisfied. So I can see how faith does work, and that was the question I asked early on. So I'm glad to have it explained to me now during the show. I also wanted to say this before I forget. It's 10 days?
10 days.
Well, we're doing a Daniel fast, and it's going to be more than 10 days. So is that?
Because let me tell you, because I know you're adding prayer to that.
Okay.
And the Bible talks about a struggle that Daniel has, and he's laid something before the Lord. And when the angel comes to Daniel, he said, "You know what, Daniel? I heard your prayer 21 days ago."
Oh, okay. Okay.
But it took the fasting part for 21 days to really manifest the plan of God and the victory that God had.
And we're speaking about a permanent change.
Right, absolutely.
And again, we're not speaking about a diet. It's going to be about type of food. And I'm going to speak a little bit about food. It's not, what I would like to say to you, to change, you're going to avoid probably 50 illnesses. 50 to 70%, incidentally, of breast cancer can be avoided. Yeah, we have 200,000 people who get it every year, 40,000 deaths, and you hear anybody speaking about that 50 to 70% of breast cancer, Reverend, can be because fat has in it estrogen.
Yes.
So if you don't smoke, get to close to normal weight, don't drink more through the drinks a week, breast cancer rates cut in half. Do I see anybody mention that anywhere? No. I think this is critical. But so, and we're not speaking about diet. It's a type of food. Our body needs certain vitamins, certain minerals, and what are called phytochemicals. They run the machinery, the metabolism of our body. Okay? So when we are eating nutrients, these are nutrient-dense food, you'll find your appetite goes away. That's why it's no diet. That's the reason. Every day I have a smoothie. And what these machines do is break up the cellular structure of the vegetables and the plants, and you increase tremendously the amount of vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals that you're getting. Not the calories, the nutrients. And the nutrients turn off the machines because they're happy now. They're like a sheep they followed some sheep and find out they would eat till they ate a certain plant, and then you stop eating. Although they had a lot of food available because their nutrient need had been met. So when I have a smoothie, which is this, could be a Vitamix machine or Nutrigenic machine, whatever, is I drink it in the morning. I had it today. I just don't get hungry till 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So I think to have a smoothie every day, I highly suggest that. That can avoid most illnesses. You can have some oatmeal with it, some fruit with it. I'm not too hard on white bread because it's sugar. Sugar really is the booger. They've proven this now. Gary Taub's book, The Case Against Sugar, just came out this thick. I read the whole thing 3 times. Sugar is the problem. We have to find out the processed sugars and what foods. We got to read food labels. So what type of food? If you eat 70, 80% fruits of color, vegetables, fruit, this book, and I myself don't totally recommend being a vegan. I mean, that's fine. You know, you get certain, that's the only way you can do it. Eat no meat at all. That's not necessary, but you can eat some. I myself am pretty much totally against it because I have read what they got to do to animals to put them on your plate. I read those books, and I've seen it, and I'm really pretty low. You can get all that. You say, what about my protein? you can get all the protein you need from vegetables. Beans are about 40%. Matter of fact, if you could compare a pound of beef, okay, there is less protein in a pound of beef than a cup of broccoli. Yeah, broccoli is high protein. So to say I needed to get big muscles, that's actually wrong. You can get all the amino acids, about 22 of them.
Is there a certain type of protein, though, or is it the same?
No. I mean, there is one. You might not get some vitamin B12 or something, but that's so rare that you get it in other foods. Okay. You know what I mean? That I say some turkey. Chicken is 40% fat. Yeah, turkey might be the best, but you can get all the protein you need from vegetables. I didn't say you can't eat meat at all, and in this book they didn't even say that. Just maybe make sure that it's organic, that it hasn't been given chemicals, you know, or things like that. So from a food aspect, this book, for example, in which we will be teaching and have been teaching already, learn to cook. I think this is important.
Yes.
Dr. Mark Hyman, who wrote this book, you know, he's a busy cardiologist, I think he was. You know, his family would not start the evening meal till he was home. He had to help cooking. You know what's so wonderful about that? Is the family's together.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
And the children love to learn how to cook. We're not teaching them.
Yes.
You know what percent of people know how to cook? Maybe 20%. Everybody goes to fast food, and that has no nutrients in it. That's why you want to keep on eating the fast food. It's not nutrients. Nothing is there to turn your appetite off. That's why a smoothie, you know, really works that good. But we'll be teaching people how to cook properly, and they have the Daniel plate.
Yes.
And I designed it myself. It is half non-starchy vegetables. That means not so much sugar in them. Okay. Right. A quarter starchy vegetables would be a carrot or a baked potato. It has more sugar in it. And 1/4 of protein. That could be protein from plants, maybe a little bit from meat. Fish being a little better. But that's called the Daniel plate. And then in terms of drinking, I'd say the water with a lemon or lime or something. I'll be honest with you, I read a book called Whitewash by Kachmann, that's the name of it, and I read about milk. I wouldn't bother with milk. Milk is meant for baby cows. That's what it's meant for. And it's high rates of cancer, high rates of type 1 diabetes. Yes. A lot of people don't know that, so I'm not that hard on recommending milk. I
was eating some cereal the other day, and I just... I thought the milk was cold in the cereal. I got towards the end. I started thinking, man, this came out of a cow. Now, would I get this out of a cow if I knew it came right out of a cow? And I literally stopped eating it, and I poured the milk out. I said, I don't want
I use almond milk from vegetables. I put it in my coffee, and if you felt like you needed it, you use almond milk now.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Whitewash, Kachmann, read that book. You'd be doing it. I'd be surprised. Any thought that you have on teaching about food, types of food, and how the people are tolerating it, what you're teaching?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. And just 2 points. Number one, you just said about families not cooking anymore.
Yeah.
And I just had an amazing experience this past Sunday, because after church, I went home, and I'm in the kitchen, and 2 of my grandchildren are in the kitchen, and my son is in the kitchen, and we're actually cooking our food. And I said, you know, I'm just kind of stopped for a moment and just kind of looked at everybody. I said, this is a rarity right now, to have families coming together. Everybody was preparing a different meal, a different part of the meal.
How beautiful that is.
But it was just, I said, oh man, I just want to do that again. But it was just nice to have we're all around the island, everybody's cooking, and just the fellowship. But it goes back to that sense of community. It just helps us to be successful. And then now, not only that, Dr. K, but what struck me when you mentioned it just now is we create a legacy. So it's not just for me and my generation and for now, but now I'm creating a legacy of healthy eating and cooking for my entire family. So it's just so important.
Yeah, I mean, those kids, let's face it, what are they going to do? They're going to do what you taught them, and they will be healthy.
And feel better.
And then as they're having babies, we have so many babies born today, they have this neonatal abstinence syndrome because their parents are smoking and drinking and eating the wrong food. Their genetic code has been written when they're born, okay? Yeah, so their future is going to be bad. The great hope is, which is true, there's something called epigenetics now. When we are born, we've only expressed 3% of our genes. 3%. 97% of our genetic structure, which is what turns on the machinery of our body, is determined. How we use the fingers or forks and our focus in our food, determined by us. Yes. Right. So all these babies being born when their mothers and fathers, both their habits, whether they smoke, take narcotics, before they have children. So when you're teaching the children this already, they're going to have healthy babies.
Right.
We're going to have different, group of people. And I didn't eat all this way all my life. My dad had a deli in New York. What do you think we ate? You know what I mean?
Right.
But as a child, I had acne. It was from all the milk I was drinking. I didn't know that. It wasn't.
You said it was from the milk?
Yeah, okay. It was from the milk. Somebody else in the family had psoriasis, which was from all the meat they were eating. So all these things can be avoided. You can avoid good 50 illnesses if you eat right. It'd be wonderful. I mean, I've had people like at Planet Fitness where I work out because I can teach people there. I had a 350-pound guy talk to me, and I told him about proper eating, and I told him to read this book. He was a truck driver. And he said, "You remember me, Doc?" I said, "No." And he said, he weighed 210 now, 210. Just by eating right. Yes. And then he took me outside to show me his truck. He said, "Now you remember me?" I said, "Now I remember you because I had walked around the truck to measure what a mile was. He used to walk it twice a day. Then he made me walk into the truck, climb in the truck, and he had a crock pot there, and he was taking that's cooking at a low temperature, which is a lot healthier. And he had a little bit of chicken and vegetables in there. After 10 hours of driving from California, he did his evening meal, weighed 210, looked like a movie star. Wow. This is a true story. So let's move on to
I've seen the picture.
Yeah, I have a picture on my phone. You saw it? Doesn't he look like a movie star?
Yes, he does.
I took a picture of him in front of the logo of Planet Fitness. And so let's go on to fitness a little bit. Reverend, yes. What are you now doing about fitness? What are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm keeping it moving.
Yeah.
Actually, we do. It was amazing and I know God was in it, just like I know God is in this right now. Because we decided, I had a treadmill at home, and I brought my treadmill to this church, and we had a room. And within 30 days, we had that room just full of everything we needed to have an overall fitness center at the church. Dr. Kachmann came by, and he said, looks like you have everything, but you need some weights. And guess what?
Next day
he appears with weights. So we just had a little bit of everything there. It's so important to keep it moving. You feel better, your energy level is heightened if you just move. I think that we should exercise at least 30 minutes, do something physical at least 30 minutes every day. And like today, I exercised from about 6 o'clock in the morning until maybe 11, but I was cleaning house.
That works.
I had the energy.
Works. Yeah, to climb the stairs and the bending and that.
I had the energy because I was able now, just through my fitness program, to be able to have the stamina to do what I need to do. Because it's 3 levels, up and down, here and here. Right. Clean up after all my grandchildren from the holidays. So yes, fitness is so important. You've got to keep moving. In fact, there's a disease that Dr. Kachmann told us about. We didn't know about it until he told us, and that was called sitting disease. Sitting disease.
They've developed the science of it now. Research is through NASA. The astronauts came back and they had no muscles. Right. So then Levine wrote a book, but no one was reading it, and I wrote it called Sitting Disease. We have an enzyme in our body that's in the inner layer of our endothelium that's turned on and off depending on how long we sit. You sit for 2 hours, it's like smoking a pack of cigarettes. Scientifically proven.
Wow.
So now we need to, if you're at work, that's the reason they have stand-up desks and treadmills. So if you're sitting a lot of your job, some people have to get up and move, keep some weights under the desk. Go to the phone, the phone rings, stand up. That when you're standing up, that's gravity.
Yes.
Gravity controls our whole lives. Everything has gravity to it. You stand up, that triples the gravity. So every time you're on the phone, just stand up, for example. And if you increase your calorie burn, say 200 calories a day, Reverend, you know what that is in a year? 20 pounds.
Wow.
So if you decide, well, I want to lose X 50 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever, then just to increase, and suppose you can do it at work. Walk during the lunch hour, or maybe your activity at work is already a lot of exercise, but then if you exercise at work and you're walking through the factory and then you step outside and you smoke, well, that's not healthy. I'm sad to find out, because I teach at some factories now, and I don't blame the people. They're doing this for a reason, because nicotine, food, sugar makes them feel good. Fear, anxiety dominates society today. So I do blame the people? No. But we need to find different ways to satisfy our neurotransmitters to make us feel good. I use coffee, not 10 cups a day, okay? When the weather's good, you know what I do in the morning, Reverend, for exercise? I walk in nature. And it's gotten a little bit out of hand. I walk about 40 minutes, and I look at the leaves, I look at the bark, I look at the plants and the animals and the rabbits, and occasional not so nice animal walks by, says, "Hi, Rudy." And now I got to, I take some singing lessons, and I'm singing to the birds, and you know what? They're singing back. But that's feeding my neurotransmitters, making me feel good, relaxing me, just like faith and church will do. So that's fitness. So to walk at least 30 minutes a day. Or actually, when people go to places to work out, we found out, unfortunately, maybe 5% work out regularly. They may be members, but they're not doing it. So I suggest, if you can get your workout done at work, for example, during the lunch hour or while you're working, standing up, walking around, go get a glass of water, whatever. And if you develop a friend there to help you, for example, maybe take that friend to lunch and you both eat good. If you're eating out once or twice a day, you get a problem. I know many very successful businessmen, I mean, multi-millionaires who are going to die young. They got diabetes. Most of them got pot bellies. Incidentally, the best measurement for blood sugar and type 2 diabetes, one we're talking about with 50 illnesses associated, a lot of cancer associated with it, is the belly measurement. Better than a blood test. And I always say, well, you are what you eat. Okay, to a point. You are what you digest. To a point. You are what your blood work is. Get blood tested every year, and not starting at age 35 or 45, as a child, because we see so many children now with diabetes, they'll have a heart attack and stroke when they're 35, 45. Increased rates of cancer, all can be avoided. So food is important. Fitness, it is important, but to lose weight just from fitness is very difficult. You'll help control it. You'll make your muscles stronger. A pound of muscle burns an extra 50 calories a day, for example. But you're not going to solve it just with fitness.
That's true.
Type of food. So, Reverend, take us a little bit to the focus.
Okay.
Focus.
Well, I believe that what we fixate on drives a lot of what we do. As I listen to the conversation today, we know that if we eat the right thing, we're going to get that satisfying feeling inside our physiological body to be full. But sometimes the mind might say, oh, I always have cake before I go to bed. Or I always, go to bed with the vanilla wafers or whatever, or the potato chips. So we have to be able to change that focus from eating those kinds of things to really focusing in on the right thing. And one thing that I do is, and I have this upstairs in my bedroom, I have affirmation statements, so it kind of keeps me focused. Every day I'm reminding myself about what I want to do and what I want to be that day. In my planner, in my daily planner, I always take a moment to write down another affirmation to kind of keep me focused on what my goals are. It's so easy to get off focus, but when you have your friends reminding you of commitments that you've made and encouraging you, it just kind of helps the focus. So you have to shift your focus, shift your thinking. Okay, no, I don't eat like that anymore. I don't do that anymore. So, and you have the power. We do have the cognition available to shift our focus, because sometimes we eat what we see and not what we want.
Right.
It's just like if you go to some of the buffets. I know there's this one buffet I would go to in Indianapolis, and the first thing in the buffet line is, guess what? The desserts. Because they know you're hungry, so now you're focusing in on, oh, I get this visual and dessert.
Right.
So nope, you just, as you begin to look at that dessert, just say, I'm focusing, and just scoot that tray right past that dessert. I'm not saying that don't ever have dessert, but I think some systems are built to focus our minds on the things that we should not be eating, at least first. Right. And so it takes that discipline and focus go hand in hand. I've got to discipline my mind, discipline my body, and I've got to rewire my thinking so that my body isn't craving. Sometimes my children would say, Mom, I'm hungry. I said, you know what? And I used to say, okay, let me get dinner, let me do this. Yeah. But you know what I say now? You're not hungry. It's just a fleshly craving. Right. You don't know what hunger is. I can show you what real hunger is. And we grow up feeding those fleshly craves, respond.
A lot of it is anxiety.
Yes, exactly.
We're trying to get this neurotransmitter to feel a little better.
Yes.
When a walk might do it, or let's turn on the music and practice our dancing, or refocus
that thinking, refocus that mind, and saturate your environment with refocused material. What is it that's going to keep you focused on your goals? Just surround that. When my kids were little, we did vision boards so they could see what they were trying to accomplish in life. And I think it's a good thing to do when we think about our health. Create your vision board. What is it that you like? I would say if you want this kind of waist, I'm not saying get the whole lady or the whole guy, but just cut off just that waist and just put your picture up there. So now you see yourself with that kind of just reminder. Nope, can't have that today because I have a personal goal. So you focus and saturate the environment with those tools and cues that are going to keep you focused in your mind, and you'll be able to accomplish it in your body.
That's biblical. Renewing your mind.
Renew your mind, exactly. Yes.
Can I ask a quick question, though, before I forget? I wrote down the questions here, and it goes back to what you were talking about, Dr. Kachmann, as well as what you just talked about, Dr. Bush. Well, at what point is it too late, or is it ever too late to invoke this and get benefits from it? And the other question is the financial benefits versus burdens. Are there burdens or benefits when you do this? Meaning, I've heard that when you want to eat healthy, it's more expensive. But I know you can explain how that's not the case, because when you factor in the medical that you're going to run into, such as the bills and maintaining, having to pay for medications and all that.
Yeah, and to address that first, even, I realize, the hospital bills, you can go in there for a week and have a $50,000 bill.
Right.
So, but a lot of people don't pay those things.
Right,
You know what I mean? Right. Or they get insurance that no deductible. You know what I mean? But in actuality, that when we eating right, buying the right food. If you look at the prices a little bit and buying bulk, for example, like beans in bulk and different things, you see in this book, eating right actually is cheaper. The food is actually cheaper. Everybody thinks, oh, it's more expensive.
Right.
Well, if you go to a fancy restaurant,
but
if you cook yourself, it's cheaper. It is quicker. You can, and he'll say in here, you can prepare, and the recipe's in here, you can prepare a meal just a minute, 6-7 minutes. Right. But you have to practice that a little bit and get good at it. And sometimes you have to cook the beans for 3 days. You know what I mean? This is what we're going to eat for 3 days, this manner. So it's cheaper and quicker, but you have to participate in life.
Right.
You get it. And when you agree,
absolutely,
Reverend, that you do that. And your other question?
It was at what point, is there a point where it won't be effective, even if you take on a Daniel plan or start eating properly? Like, there's a point they say when you're a smoker that your lungs, you can't recover them. So is it?
I understand. You want to tackle that first?
Yeah, I will. I believe this is it's kind of like salvation, or you want to do something new. I am of the mindset that it's never too late. It is never too late to make a positive change.
Lord.
Because if you continue where you are, and let's just say if your lungs are damaged, who knows what's going to be next?
Right.
So we have multiple organs in our body that work together for our optimal health. But I'm saying it's just not too, let's get started now.
Right.
I have people in my church that have been a part of our plan, and they were diabetic. They were on all kind of medicine. One lady, the doctor couldn't even get her sugar controlled. We changed her eating, and guess what? She's not even taking any medicine right now. I have a gentleman at my church that's the very same way. And these are not young people, not teenagers. Okay, these are people that are beyond, that are seniors pretty much, senior people. But now they change their eating habit, and they're seeing now medicines, prescriptions just fading away, pounds fading away. They're doing things that they never even dreamed they would do. So if you have to believe it's not too late for you. Because some people, just because they had a birthday, they cancel out on a lot of things in life, not just their health. Well, it's too, I can't do this or I can't do that now because I'm just too old. You're as young as you think you are. On my next birthday, I will be 67 years old. And I thank God for every year. And every day I say, I got a new day. I'm still working it because I'm trying to do the right thing. And what God does is God honors your effort. I think about David when he wanted to build the temple, and God told David he couldn't do it because he was a man of war. He said, but you know what? Your son is going to do it. But God gave David the credit for doing it because his heart was in the right place. And so I believe that as our hearts are in the right place to be able to turn some things around, you don't know what God will do in your body. That's where the faith comes in. I believe that God's a healer. I believe that now that I'm eating right, I'm opening up those mechanisms inside of me that maybe those organs that were damaged, and maybe God can heal those organs because we know that he can do anything. That's where that faith comes in. You just trust him and believe him. Okay, God, I know what the doctor said. Have you ever heard the doctor say something? No offense, doc. And then God turned it around. Okay, let your faith turn it around for you. Be optimistic. Don't anybody tell you what you can't do. I'm going to get.
She's absolutely correct. And there's science behind that. You know what I tell people a lot? That there is a doctor in God living within you.
And
they can heal most things. You get a cut of it, like my cat scratched me here the other day. As long as the cut isn't big, body healed it. Body healed it. So most things actually at any age can be healed. I even tell people with metastatic cancer, and it's not a miracle or something. There's actual science and faith in God behind it. And people with metastatic cancer, I've seen them be cured when they positive thinking, changes their neurotransmitters, start eating the right food, and their cancers go away. I've seen it many times. And you know the type 2 diabetics, which 1 or 2 is pre-diabetic around here, if they started eating right, their diabetes, and I can show you 10 books and DVDs, one of Dr. Hyman, your diabetes probably gone in a month. A month. Yet I went to some public health people who did not know that, lack of knowledge. So this is an opportunity for people who are quite sick to get rid of their disease. I remember the truck story. The guy had type 2 diabetes. He's on 0 medications. From 10 medications down to nothing. What do you think his monthly pharmacy bill is now? And you feel so much better.
So when you give this information, it just came to mind. I know we had a conversation. You're kind of like because you have this industry that benefits from people being diabetics and having medical.
Absolutely.
So how? Well, I mean, we can't worry about it like.
No, you bring up a good point. We are fighting. That's the reason we have to do it. You must participate in your health care. I have an 8-rule thing about health. Number 1 is that you must participate in your health care because industry is making a lot of money, and they're not backing off. They'll even. Now, once you get tested early, I say get tested at age 1. You know what they say, about 40? By that time, people are sick of that out. Pre-diabetes is 15 years. You're looking good, but your body's being destroyed inside. You don't see it. There's chronic inflammation going on. But But if you get tested early and act on this, you get rid of it.
Right.
Look at the bills and your family and you look great, you feel great, and you're doing God's plan. The body of Christ is within you. I can give you the quotes. They're right in here. Corinthians 8:2. It's right in there. It's Bible focused.
Yes, it is. Definitely.
So
it's what God desires.
Desires for you, no matter what your faith. We're not picking your religion. We're not picking your religion, any religion or no religion.
But it works.
But it works. It works.
It works.
And Herb Benson said that at Harvard. There's a doctor living within you. I visited him one time actually, and I walk in. I didn't know the guy from Adam. I thought I walk into Mass General Hospital and this Dr. Benson, very famous individual. He says, "Hi, Rudy. How you been?" And I thought, Jesus, where do I know him from? I played baseball against him in Central Park in New York.
Oh, wow.
So, well, I don't know. Things like that happen to us all the time. So, really, in summary, we'll be teaching the Daniel plan at 2 churches. And Life Destiny, we're ready to go. And the church has been totally remodeled.
It's beautiful.
Two gentlemen. It's beautiful. They'll be teaching cooking in there. And the great thing is, this is not difficult. If you eat right, and eat, for example, if you eat 1,000 calories of vegetables mainly, you only absorb 50%. The rest is fiber. And you exercise a little bit and say 200 calories a day. That's 20 pounds in a year. Is it hard to get well? No. So it's simple, but you must focus, and certainly faith is very is very helpful.
And I would say too, because I know we're getting ready to close, is that you've given us a lot of good information, Dr. Kachmann. But what I'd like to encourage our viewers and listeners to do is just to begin to try it, because knowledge by itself can just sit on the shelf. So take the knowledge, begin to apply the knowledge, and then you move to that next level of growth. And that next level is belief. Because when you see it working for you, now God is giving you a testimony for you to be able to share it with someone else. And so don't just take the knowledge and just tuck it away for another day. Today's the day. Today, our clocks are ticking. Today is the day. Don't wait for another January 1. We have a long time before January 1st comes back around again. But I believe that every day that we live, God gives us another opportunity to begin again. He says that every day you've got new mercies, you've got your fresh batch of grace, everything that you need for this day to begin again is at your fingertips. So don't just take this knowledge that Dr. Kachmann has shared with us and just put it on the shelf. Begin to do it, and then you become a believer. And then you don't just do what you know, you do what you believe. And when you do what you believe, there's a passion added to it that men just cannot deny nor take away. And you'll be all the healthier for it.
And if you don't, for example, do it like the type 2 diabetes, which is really, one or two people in this area is pre-diabetic. You read today's newspaper, it even tells you that you will add about 25 years to your life. You will avoid 30 years of disability. There are people that become blind, high blood pressure, unannounced heart attacks, where they die, liver disease, renal disease, amputations. Look around you. How many times have you seen people with canes and wheelchairs, most of them type 2 diabetic, who have an illness that is stoppable, preventable, reversible. And not to do that is a sin against God, for one thing, but it makes your life miserable. I mean, try walking with your dislocated joints, amputated legs, versus being a healthy, vigorous person. And this can be instituted any time in your life. I personally, a lot of dementia, memory loss, you know, that talk about Alzheimer's disease, is related to food. 75% is related to too much sugar. Insulin resistance in the brain causes this memory loss.
So
diabetics have a very high rate. They think it's some genetic disease. Baloney. The pharmaceutical companies tell you, oh, we're going to invent this drug. But you noticed recently in the newspaper, Eli Lilly spent $1 billion, no results. I can tell you why. It's going to take 100 drugs. The best way to avoid dementia, breast cancer, sudden heart attacks, strokes, by eating the right food, walking a half hour a day, exercising like I do all the time. I mean, if you want to laugh, let's have a laugh. What I do every day. It doesn't take that much. I play tennis. I play pickleball.
Pickleball, yes.
I take tap dance lessons. I just started that. And if you can't move much, you know, for example, if you try, I'm doing it because of the pickleball tennis. But if you can't move much, you say, "Oh, I can't walk." Tap dance in place, right there.
Yeah.
You can get a marley floor about 2 feet each and tap dance right there. And I've taken singing lessons. But I'm still working part-time, you know, because I give lectures and TV shows, and so I'm exercising. This guy's got to be exercised too.
Right.
Most memory loss is due to people aren't using the brain no more. If you follow a healthy lifestyle, I would say you can live to be, like I said, 100, 120, and be in good health.
Right.
You don't have to lose your memory. You don't have to get weak. That changes very little if you follow these 5 F's we're talking about. And if you can do it with a buddy or a friend, but especially the family, just like you said, when the whole family is cooking and sitting down to dinner and sharing it, the love, the reduction of anxiety. We eat the wrong food many times just to try to feel good. Why do people smoke in the factories? Because they want to feel good. They're not bad people. So to avoid the bad addiction of alcohol and cigarettes and things, it's important that we find other ways, you know, to feel good. But in summary, Reverend, would you like to say a few words?
Get started. That's a few, too. Get started. Don't delay. Get started right away. Yes, your life depends upon it.
Yeah, exactly. In the joy of your life, definitely. You want to look good, do this. You don't need plastic surgery. This will take care of you. Nature designed your body to look good no matter what the situation is. And then people can tell. You know, I can tell people in the 80s that used to come to see me all dressed up in fancy clothes and looking good. And I thought, why do they do that? Because I wear fancy clothes. And it make them feel good.
And you look sharp
They make them feel good. And they came back to make me feel good. So as you get a day older, dress up, dance a little. You'll feel better. Walk in nature. Bathe in nature. I highly recommend it. Keith, anything you'd like to add?
Well, I was going to say, you all reminded me obedience is better than sacrifice. That's biblical, so that's another portion of it. And also, my involvement is I'm looking that we start a movement with this. And so, like you said, you're on Facebook.
Wonderful.
And I'm hoping to be supportive in that. And, you know, our collaborations, not only here, but with other organizations, because it all involves humanity, human life. And if we can improve it, then I'm certainly in support of it. And I think we'll be successful by the grace of God.
Thanks for saying that. And I really appreciate your help. I think if you're going to help us a lot. We're trying to Karen, Crystal, Keith, we're trying to bring this message to the community. I'm afraid it will not come from public health. There's too much money involved, and my experience has not been good when they go test their knowledge with if they read this book. Hardly ever do they participate, but it's a fairly easy answer. You know what I mean? But I really appreciate your help through Facebook and Instagram, and you look us up, and then I'm looking so forward to at the Life Destiny Church. The 23rd of January will be the first class, and you'll be teaching there, and I'll be standing there, and God clearly helped you build this church. Come on,
Yes, he did.
there's no question about it. When all these volunteers and money was sent by people on Facebook to, it's like it was built yesterday. I've toured it twice now, and thanks so much for watching the show. We're doing this because we love you. We're doing this because we love you. And besides, Jesus told us to do it.
Amen. Amen. And the church said amen.
Amen to that. And I encourage you to read the book. You can get it online or whatever. That's helpful. They have DVDs too, and attend our classes. It'll go on all year. It's not just 6 weeks after New Year's. This is a way of life. we're going to be teaching it all year long.
And, excited about it myself as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Then again, thanks again for inviting me. It's truly an honor
your
to be here.
Your quick response. We barely have known each other 10 days.
Okay, right. Thank God.
And thanks for coming.
My pleasure, Dr. K. Appreciate you.
This is a labor of love.